Yes, and lots of happy relationships. So, there are mainly three particular important events which occurred on this day. One is that Lord Ram returned from exile, having killed the great demon Ravana. Another is that, and in fact the whole lunar month that we're in right now is dedicated to that, this is the day, the Diwali day, is the day that Mother Yashoda tied baby Krishna with ropes. And therefore Krishna is called Damodar. And you can see just on the side there on your right, you see there's the big photo of our deities from our temple in Chatsworth, Durban. But just in front, the actual deities, small. On your right is Krishna as Damodar, and on your left is Yashoda, and she is in the process of tying him. So it's a very wonderful pastime. In fact, it's so wonderful, so important, that the entire month that we're in means lunar month, not just your typical solar months. But the lunar month we're in, we're more or less in the middle. It finishes the last day. If it is either the 11th or 12th, I forget exactly. But it's the 11th or the 12th when this lunar month finishes on the Purnima, the full moon day. So Mother Yashoda, well, the pastime and what it represents and the lessons that we can learn from that are so important that the whole month is dedicated to it. The whole month. Normally, if there's some appearance day or some important day in our calendar, we may celebrate for one day, sometimes a couple of few days maybe, but more often than not just one day. Like, for example, tomorrow is the Govardhan Puja day, the day Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill on the little finger of his left hand and held it there for 7 days and 7 nights to protect the devotees, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, from the great storm sent by Lord Indra. It's a very important festival, and we're celebrating it tomorrow, but just tomorrow. Well, actually, there'll be a sort of a follow-up on Saturday, but anyway, even though it's very important, it's only celebrated one day. But this particular pastime of Mother Yashoda binding Krishna is celebrated for the whole month. We observe, in fact, just before most of you came, or many of you, we offered lamps to Krishna as Damodar and Mother Yashoda. So then the third thing, which is very important, is this is the day that Lord Krishna, 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna killed the great demon Narakasura. Narakasura. These names, of course, they all mean something. Lord Ram killed Ravana. Ravana translates as he who makes others cry. Ravana, he who makes others cry. Narak Asura, well, Krishna translates as the all-attractive person who has all attractive qualities in full. Narak Asura also translates, Narak means hell, and Asura means demon. So his name is Demon from Hell. How would you like to have a name like that? You introduce yourself. Yes, well, I'm a demon from hell. Anyway, Krishna killed him on this day. Let us maybe touch a little bit on each of these three pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Let us begin, though, with the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya. And so what we'll do, we will read a series of verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10, which is titled The Pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. So let's read a few verses specifically about his return. I'll read the Sanskrit of the first verse. It's verse 33, and then we'll just read the translations. When Lord Ramachandra returned to his capital, Ayodhya, he was greeted on the road by the princely order, who showered his body with beautiful fragrant flowers. While great personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods glorified the activities of the Lord in great jubilation. Upon reaching Ayodhya, Lord Ramachandra heard that in his absence, his brother Bharat was eating barley cooked in the urine of a cow, covering his body with the bark of trees, wearing matted locks of hair, and lying on a mattress of kusha. The most merciful Lord very much lamented this. You know, of course, here we're not going to go through the whole story of Lord Ram. It's just far too much time-wise. But maybe you know, I'm sure many of you know, maybe you all know, that Lord Ram was banished to the forest. And the idea of the people behind the banishment was that one of his brothers would become the king, and Lord Ram would just be sort of dispensed with. So that brother was Bharat. And indeed, he was ordered by his father to rule as the king when this banishment was being put into effect. And of course, being the king, that's a very powerful position, of course, but it's also a very opulent position of having a palace or even many palaces and all sorts of luxurious facilities for living. But Bharat, he was not interested in taking, sort of usurping the place of Ram. So as a duty, because someone had to rule, so the place had to be governed, otherwise it would have been chaotic. So therefore, out of duty, he ruled. But only in a very official way, just carrying out the essential functions. And as far as all the pomp and glory and respectability and all that of being the king, Barrett just completely avoided that. And in fact, he was not even living in the palace. He was living outside. And as we read, simply eating barley cooked in the urine of a cow. Have you tried that? We can arrange it if you'd like to. Anyway, that's a pretty austere diet. And he wasn't even wearing clothes or proper clothes. He was using tree bark to cover his body. He wasn't worrying about his hair and lying on a mattress of kusha. Kusha is a type of grass. Well, actually, it's used in religious performances, but still it's grass. So just a completely simple and renounced form of existence. So when Lord Bharat understood that Lord Ramachandra was returning to the capital, Ayodhya, he immediately took upon his own head Lord Ramachandra's wooden shoes and came out from his camp at Nandigram. Lord Bharat was accompanied by ministers, priests, and other respectable citizens, by professional musicians vibrating pleasing musical sounds, and by learned Brahmins loudly chanting Vedic hymns. Following in the procession were chariots drawn by beautiful horses with harnesses of golden rope. These chariots were decorated by flags with golden embroidery and by other flags of various sizes and patterns, and so on and so forth. So, Lord Bharat, his heart softened in ecstasy and his eyes full of tears, approached Lord Ramachandra and fell at his lotus feet with great ecstatic love. After offering the wooden shoes before Lord Ramachandra, Lord Bharat stood with folded hands, his eyes full of tears, and Lord Ramachandra bathed Bharat with tears while embracing him with both arms for a long time. Long time, as we have heard at least from other descriptions, embracing for a long time was something like 3 hours. We embrace. When was the last time you embraced someone? We all have embraced someone in the not distant past. But have you ever embraced someone for 1 minute, 2, 3, 5? 5? Me neither. 3 hours. Yeah. The length of time may be taken to reflect the feelings, the emotions which are being expressed. Accompanied by Mother Sita and Lakshman, Lord Ramachandra then offered his respectful obeisances unto the learned Brahmins and the elderly persons in the family. And all the citizens of Ayodhya offered their respectful obeisances unto the Lord. The citizens of Ayodhya, upon seeing their king return after a long absence, offered him flower garlands, waved their upper cloths, and danced in great jubilation. O king, Lord Bharat carried Lord Ramachandra's wooden shoes. Sugriva and Vibhishan carried a whisk and an excellent fan. Hanuman carried a white umbrella. Shatrughna carried a bow and 2 quivers. Sita Devi carried a water pot filled with water from holy places. Angada carried a sword, and Jambavan, king of the rickshaws, means bears, carried a golden shield. Now, you know an interesting point in regard to this? This is specifically the verse which this painting is illustrating. Yes, the artist, one devotee, Ramdas Abhiram Das, he painted this painting just directly from here. So if you look up this verse later and examine the picture, you'll see that's what the painting is. O King Parikshit, as the Lord sat on his airplane of flowers, with women offering him prayers and reciters chanting about his characteristics, he appeared like the moon with the stars and planets. Thereafter, having been welcomed by his brother Bharat, Lord Ramachandra entered the city of Ayodhya in the midst of a festival. When he entered the palace, he offered obeisances to all the mothers, including Kaikeyi. You know, if you know the story, you'll know she was the one. She was the one. Anyway, she got stimulated by a nasty piece of work, Mantara. But Kaikeyi is the mother of Bharat, and it was on her appeal that Dasarath, the father, and her husband exiled Lord Ram. So all the mothers, including Kaikeyi and the other wives of Maharaj Dasarath, and especially his own mother Kaushalya. He also offered obeisances to the spiritual preceptors such as Vasishta. Sri Sri Dal Nitai Gora Hariki. Friends of his own age and younger friends worshipped him, and he returned their respectful obeisances, as did Lakshman and Mother Sita. In this way they all entered the palace. Upon seeing their sons, the mothers of Ram, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughna immediately arose like unconscious bodies returning to consciousness. The mothers placed their sons on their laps and bathed them with tears, thus relieving themselves of the grief of long separation. You know, so they all, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, they're big now. They're big. They're married men. They've been married for like 15 years or something like 15 years. But their mothers sat them on their laps. Just see, mothers, you can do that with your sons. Okay. Lord Ramachandra, fully bathed and his head clean shaven, dressed himself very nicely and was decorated with a garland and ornaments. Thus he shone brightly, surrounded by his brothers and wife, who were similarly dressed and ornamented. Being pleased by the full surrender and submission of Lord Bharat, Lord Ramachandra then accepted the throne of the state. He cared for the citizens exactly like a father. And the citizens, being fully engaged in their occupational duties of Varna and Ashram, accepted him as their father. What do you think? South Africa? Cyril? Papa Cyril? Bapuji? Cyril? I don't know. America? Donald Trump for a father? Good luck. Yes, but things were different at that time. Lord Ramachandra became king during Treta Yuga, but because of his good government, the age was like Satya Yuga. Everyone was religious and completely happy. When Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental suffering, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear, and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. That's amazing, isn't it? It sounds just, not just too good to be true, but far too good to be true. But let's just read a short purport here by Srila Prabhupada. All these facilities existed because of Lord Ramachandra's presence as the king of the entire world. A similar situation could be introduced immediately, even in this age called Kali, the worst of all ages, in Pietermartizburg. What? Oh no, that's not there. But it's included. It's definitely included in Pietermartizburg. So a similar situation could be introduced immediately. It is said, Kali Kale, Namarupe, Krishna Avatar. Krishna descends in this Kali Yuga in the form of his holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. If we chant offenselessly, Ram and Krishna are still present in this age. The kingdom of Ram was immensely popular and beneficial. And the spreading of this Hare Krishna movement can immediately introduce a similar situation even in this Kali Yuga. But you know what it means, devotees and friends? Do you know what that means? That was the good news. This is it's also good news, but you know, it may be a little more difficult to digest. That means we have to get out and give the chanting of the holy names to the people. Of course, we've got our beautiful temple, isn't it lovely? It's amazing, actually. It's really very pleasing and nice. But we cannot just sit in our beautiful temple very comfortably, eating Mahaprasadam very happily, and just wait for the people to come to us. You see, Prabhupada said, I did not wait for you to invite me. He was talking about coming to America. He didn't wait to be invited. He just came. And when he came, he just went out into the street and started presenting Krishna consciousness. So we need to do that also. And then, the more we do that, the more we will see transformation. Transformation within ourselves. And transformation amongst the people in general. Actually, it's a fact. It is a fact. So we should therefore organize ourselves like that. And then, if we really do it very nicely, then such auspiciousness will manifest, first of all in our own lives, but then more and more in the lives of others, and the whole world can be transformed. So let me just read that last verse one more time. When Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the king of this world, all bodily and mental suffering, disease, old age, bereavement, lamentation, distress, fear, and fatigue were completely absent. There was even no death for those who did not want it. You know, that's sort of a perfectional stage, but if we try and present Krishna consciousness very actively and enthusiastically, result will come, and you'll feel it within yourself, see it in others, step by step, more and more. So there's some thoughts then about Lord Ram's return to Ayodhya. Let us now briefly touch on this pastime, the pastime of, wow, she disappeared. Krishna ran away and she ran after him. It must be. Anyway, all right. Anyway, you know what I mean. Yes, Mother Yashoda binding Lord Krishna. There's a particular verse I want to read. It's 10th canto, chapter 9, which is titled Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. And the particularly famous verse here, we may read a couple, but the particularly well-known verse is verse 20, 10, 9, 20. So let us read that. Ne mam virincho nabhavo, nashrir apyanga samshraya, prasadam labire gopi, yatat prapa vimuktidat. Translation. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, none of them can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. Yes, so that's the famous verse. And I'll just read the following verse. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matamiha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous, loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. So yes, so the main verse here, 10:9-20, is making the point that Mother Yashoda got more mercy than anyone, even Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She got more mercy than anyone. In the course of this particular pastime of her tying Krishna around the waist. Now, we talked about this yesterday fairly extensively. Many of you were at home eating sweets, so you missed it. We won't go through the whole thing again. Excuse my sense of humor, it's just, we get carried away a bit sometimes. But really, we did for about an hour and a half yesterday. We went through this whole story and the example of Maharaj Ambarish. But Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi, they got great mercy. They got great mercy. Lakshmi Devi is massaging the lotus feet of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, constantly. She's massaging his lotus feet. And those lotus feet, to get one speck of dust from those lotus feet on your head, that is prayed for, aspired for by so many great personalities. Just one speck of dust, one time. The value is inconceivable. Even it's stated, actually, that one grain of dust, at least from the lotus feet of Krishna from Vrindavan, is more valuable, is worth more than all the heavenly planets. What to speak of the Lani areas of Pietermartizburg, which are worth, however many millions. But the whole worth of all the heavenly planets, one speck of dust from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is worth much more. You cannot even make a comparison than the value of all those places. And Lakshmi is massaging his lotus feet 24 hours a day, 24/7, as they say. So, what is her good fortune? Sure. We cannot say, but it's just extremely great. But Mother Yashoda got much more mercy. Because of her love, she was able to control Krishna. She was able, in a nice sense of the term, to manipulate Krishna. Tell Krishna, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And Krishna was just immediately, yes, immediately. Even there are descriptions in the Bhagavatam a little earlier in the 10th canto, maybe the 4th chapter, 5th chapter, something like that. How when Krishna was small, maybe like 2 or 3 years old, he can walk, but he's a bit clumsy. So the ladies, the village ladies in Vrindavan, they would gather every day at Mother Yashoda's house to be with Krishna and to have different exchanges with Krishna, little Krishna. So those ladies, and particularly Mother Yashoda, but the other ladies also, they would joke with Krishna. And even you could say, poke fun at him, at his expense, make some little joke. So what they would do sometimes, they would tell Krishna, Krishna, dance, dance, go and dance. Dance nicely, Krishna. And Krishna would get up and start dancing something strange, because he's just a clumsy little boy. He could walk, but, stumbling along and dancing, sure. So he would sort of hop around, bounce around a little, maybe fall over sometimes, and they would laugh at him. They would laugh at him. They're literally making fun of him. But Krishna would not stop and get all into a huff and say, who do you think you're laughing at? No, he just took it. He just accepted it. And why? It's not that he was simply a little child and he couldn't think any better than a little child. He's always the Supreme Lord. Even when he's an infant, he's the Supreme Lord. And he's always fully capable, physically and intellectually. So he understood what was going on, and that they're sort of, in a sense, mocking him a little bit, in a nice way, but still, he's becoming a bit of a joke. But he didn't mind because of the love. And then, of course, in this pastime, the Damodar Leela, well, it's a long story. We won't go through the whole story. But Krishna was naughty. You might say, how can God be naughty? How could God be mischievous? But how can we restrict God and say that he can't be mischievous if he wants to? Of course he can, if he wants to. He can do anything if he wants to. Yeah. He is the Lord He is the Lord unlimitedly, but he is also the Lord limitedly when he wants to be. That is his choice. So Krishna was naughty. Srila Prabhupada said, when Krishna was good, he was good. And when Krishna was bad, he was good. He would steal the butter, and sometimes the lady of the house where he'd just stolen the butter would catch him and grab him and march him over to Mother Yashoda's house, to the house where Krishna was living, and tell Mother Yashoda, look, I caught your son again stealing butter. Isn't it terrible? What are you going to do about it? And so Yashoda would wag her finger and chastise, say some strong words like, Krishna, how can you do this, you naughty boy? You must stop it. Otherwise you'll be in big trouble. And Krishna would sort of, put his head down a bit and look up at his mother, and some tears would come. Mummy is scolding me. And the lady who had caught him and brought him over would see these emotions and the tears of Krishna and become so moved that while Mother Yashoda is giving him a good scolding, the lady would say, stop, don't speak to him like that. He's a good boy. Don't you speak to him like that. And Mother Yashoda would say, but you told me I must scold him. And the lady would say, no, don't speak to him like that. He's a nice boy. And Mother Yashoda would say, well, all right then, if that's what you want. But don't worry, I'll make sure he doesn't come back to your house to bother you and steal your butter. And the lady would say, no, let him come. Don't stop him. He's a nice boy. Let him come. I'll just give him butter. So, like this. So anyway, Krishna was mischievous. Krishna was naughty. He broke the pot, clay pot that Mother Yashoda was churning the yogurt into butter in, smashed it, and all the yogurt and half-formed butter and buttermilk, and it's just all these types of substances just came out over the floor, maybe 25 liters. And then Krishna climbed up and smashed some pots which were hanging from the ceiling. And so you had, 50 kilos or liters of dairy products on the floor. And then Krishna was eating the butter. After a while he'd had enough. He started feeding it to the monkeys until the monkeys had had enough. And the monkeys are now refusing. He's offering, the monkeys are refusing. And Mother Yashoda came back in, and Krishna, just to get at her for chastising him, and or not for chastising, but for abandoning him when she was breastfeeding him and churning the yogurt, she just left him and went. So to get back at her, Krishna, who's now offering the butter to the monkeys, but the monkeys are refusing, Mother Yashoda comes in and sees this, and Krishna says, Mata, just see, your butter is so bad, even the monkeys won't eat it. Because Mother Yashoda, she had a complex about her butter. She had plenty of butter, no problem. Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows. You get enough butter from that, to say the least, every day. And she would just give Krishna, take 20 kilos, take 50 kilos, and just eat it. And then she'd come back in 5 minutes, and Krishna was not there. He'd gone next door to steal the butter next door. So Mother Yashoda had a complex about her butter, an inferiority complex. Makan, inferiority complex. So what she did, from Nanda Maharaj's herd of 900,000 cows, beautiful cows giving liters and liters of milk every day, she selected about 10 which were the best, and she milked them. Well, not only that, she searched around the whole region for the best grass, and she would go out every day and by hand cut the grass and bring it back and personally feed it to those best cows and milk them herself, turn the milk into yogurt, churn the yogurt, make it into butter, and give it to Krishna. Just eat it. And 5 minutes later, he'd be next door stealing the butter. So she had a very serious inferiority complex about the standard of her butter. So, but anyway, in this particular incident, Krishna did such nonsense, making such a terrible mess, and what a waste. And then he insulted Mother Yashoda, so she felt, I must discipline him. So how to discipline him? Shall I give him, what we call in Chatsworth, in chats, Unit 5, give him a what happened? No. According to Vedic standards, you don't do that with a child. You never use violence against a child. Never. But you have to make strategies for restricting the child in non-violent ways, but in ways which stop the child from doing what the child wants, which is usually running around and playing and these types of things. You restrict the child for some time so the child understands, I am being restricted because I was naughty. And then the idea is they learn to be good. So she thought, right, I'll tie him up. That's what I'll do. So she made a move towards Krishna. Krishna understood what was happening. He made a move away. And then there was a big chase scene. Nimble little Krishna, very agile and dodging around. And Mother Yashoda, who, as we mentioned yesterday, and again as we say in Chatsworth, was a very healthy lady. Maybe you don't know the use of that word. Yeah, she was a very healthy lady. Middle-aged, she was in her 40s. She gave birth only when she was in her 40s. It's, by normal standards, it's very late, maybe too late for many, but she did. At least in her early 40s, so really middle-aged woman. That means if you're in your 40s, you're middle-aged, all right? In case you're still thinking you're young. Govinda Maharaj, if you know him, Bibi Govinda Maharaj. A few years ago, when he was probably in his early to mid, 63, 64, early to mid 60s, he told Giriraj Maharaj in America, he said, when I get old, I'm going to do this, or something. And Giriraj Maharaj said, you are already old. So Mother Yashoda couldn't catch Krishna. But she wouldn't stop trying. And all the time, her mood of concern, I must train this boy, I must discipline this boy, and stop him doing nonsense for his own good. That mood just increased and just overflowed. And when it overflowed, it just overflowed all over Krishna. And then Krishna couldn't continue running. He just had to stop. And Mother Yashoda grabbed him. So now she's got hold of Krishna. So just consider, Krishna is feared. Bhagavatam, there's a verse elsewhere. It says Krishna is feared by fear personified. He is feared by fear personified. But Krishna is afraid of Mother Yashoda. So how powerful is Mother Yashoda? But it's the power of love. It is the power of love. It's not that she just overpowered him, but her love did. And then now she's got to tie him, of course. So she got some rope. It looked like it's long enough, because he's just a small boy. Put it around his waist. The rope was 2 fingers too short. She got more. Now there's maybe like 3 meters of rope or something like that. It must be long enough. It was 2 fingers too short. And devotees, you must know, if 3, this is only about 2, but if 3 meters of rope will not get around your stomach, you have been eating too much prasadam. Yes. So she got more and more rope until she had just loads of rope. It was always 2 fingers too short. And again, the same thing happened. Her mood of motherly, loving concern. How can I help my boy to become better so he doesn't grow up bad and make a mess of his life? That mood of loving concern just increased and increased and overflowed all over Krishna. And then he couldn't stop the rope being long enough. Then even if it had only been like a centimeter long, it would have been long enough. Yes. One of our great acharyas, Sridhar Swami, he says the rope, the 2 fingers short, each finger represents a particular important element in the picture of the life of a devotee. The first finger represents the determination, dedication of the devotee. And the second finger represents the mercy of the Lord. Both things must be there. We must make an effort in devotional service. But the mercy of the Lord must be there. It's not just, become a workaholic in Krishna consciousness and you must be successful. No. Of course, we should work hard for Krishna, but the mercy has to be there. And it's not just a matter that I will sleep and Krishna, please Krishna, be merciful. And when everything is successfully done by your mercy, wake me up. Like Arjuna. You want the battle fought? Go ahead. No problem. I'll sleep. When the battle is won, wake me up and I'll just go Haribol. No, both things have to be there. The effort, and the mercy. But see my fingers? I don't know how yours are. Do you see my fingers? This is the effort. This is my effort finger. And this one is the mercy of Krishna finger. I don't know about your fingers, but you see mine? The mercy of Krishna is more important. You get the idea? Both things have to be there, but the mercy of the Lord is the more important of the two. How are your fingers? Also something like that? Yeah. In my case, my middle finger is longer, but anyway, it's like that. So this is the mercy that Mother Yashoda got. And no one ever got that mercy before. Of course, later, Radharani and the gopis, they have not sort of appeared in the pages of the Bhagavatam yet. When they come a little later, they get more mercy. But to this point in the Bhagavatam, particularly in the 10th canto, Mother Yashoda is the person who has received the most mercy because of her love. So that's extremely important for us. Extremely important. We have to try in our small ways to follow in the footsteps of Mother Yashoda and to serve Krishna with love from the heart. Not just in a sentimental way. Sentimental means, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. But as soon as you do something I don't like, then I think, oh no, I don't love you anymore. You follow the idea? This is sentimental. I love you until you let me down one time or do something that I don't like. Then I don't love you. But real love, Srimati Radharani says that if my suffering makes Krishna happy, then my suffering becomes my greatest happiness. It's a sort of a paradox, but it's not actually, really. It's true. So yes, selfless service, as Lord Chaitanya, who is in the mood of Radharani, says, if you're so close to me that you crush me in your embrace, did anyone ever embrace you so hard that it hurt you and you thought you were going to, your ribs were going to break or something? So even if Krishna embraces me so hard like that, or if he is not present before me, if apparently he leaves me, still you're my worshipable Lord unconditionally. This is love, as opposed to some emotional sentiment, which then is very much dependent on circumstances. So Mother Yashoda, yes, we should follow in her footsteps. Try in our little ways. And try to become dedicated. Work on our dedication in devotional service to the Lord. Work on our dedication in our chanting, and just in everything in our lives in Krishna consciousness. And if we do like that, we will make advancement, clear advancement. We will see the changes that are taking place within us if we really try our best to live like that. And therefore this pastime and the example which is set there by Mother Yashoda is of such importance to us that we celebrate it for the whole month. The whole month. Because this is Krishna consciousness. How to become dedicated for the pleasure of Krishna, to please Krishna. Okay, so the last thing I'll mention, can someone just inform me, is there arti at 8:30? That's it. Okay. All right, so yes, today is also the day that Lord Krishna killed Narakasura. Narakasura, I don't know if you've heard of him, if you know much about him. He's an extremely extraordinary and interesting person. Narakasura is the son of Lord Varaha, and Bhumi, the deity of Mother Earth, the deity of this planet. When Varaha rescued the earth, which had fallen into the Gabadak Ocean at the bottom of the universe. There's this ocean at the bottom of the universe, Gabadak Ocean, and sometimes things fall off planets, and they fall through the universe and they end up in the Gabadak Ocean. So maybe, did you ever lose something and you just couldn't believe it, but you could never find it you didn't find it for the rest of your life? And you just can't understand what happened to it. Well, you know what happened? It fell off the planet. It's in the Gabadak Ocean. So the earth fell down there because of Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha took so much gold. He was mining gold. He took so much gold out of the planet got thrown off balance and it fell from its orbit into the Gabadak Ocean. And then Lord Varaha came, killed Hiranyaksha. Lord Varaha's Krishna, in the form of a boar, killed Hiranyaksha and rescued the earth. And a child was born, whose name was not initially Narakasura, but the son of Lord Varaha and Bhumi got into bad association. He got into the association of a great demon called Banasura, who was also killed by Krishna. It's described in the 10th canto. But this Banasura, he associated with this young man, the son of Varaha and Bhumi, and just changed his mind. And he became a demon. He became Narakasura. He is a child of the Lord directly. So there's a lesson there, obviously. Watch out for bad association. Yeah. Watch out. It is much more dangerous than you might imagine or dream. And it can change the mind of practically anyone. That's why we emphasize when Lord Chaitanya gave listed out the 64 types of devotional activities, the most important, he said, was sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha, nama kirtan, bhagavat shravan, mathura vasri murtir shradaya sevan. First is sadhu sangha. Associate with the devotees. And even amongst the devotees, it's not so simple. It is not so simple. Just any sort of devotee. But you must associate with the right devotees in the right ways. That's the subject for another seminar. That's what happened to Narakasura. So Narakasura, eventually Krishna came, and Krishna came to kill him. Bhumi is an expansion from Satyabhama, who is the first expansion of Srimati Radharani. So when Lord Krishna went to kill Narakasura, he took Satyabhama with him. And the Bhagavatam describes Krishna's just about to kill Narakasura, he turned to Satyabhama and said, "Can I kill him now?" And she said, "Yes, you can kill him." And he killed Narakasura. He wouldn't do it without the permission of the mother, or sort of, in a slightly removed sense, the mother. So, and that was the end of Narakasura. So that also happened on this day. To be frank, today is Diwali, actually. Yesterday was not Diwali. Sorry. But if you want to sort of not exactly split hairs about it, but just be precise, today is actually Diwali. Yeah. Yesterday would be Diwali if we were using the what they call panjikas, the calendar systems that were current in the 19th century. But since the end of the 19th century, the positions of the planets and stars have changed. I mean, actually, every day the positions change, but there's a sort of cumulative effect over about 100 or 120 years. So every about 100, 110 or so years, the panjikas, the calendars and the calendar systems have to be recalculated because the planets have just moved enough for it to make like a noticeable difference, in this case, of 1 day. 1 day's difference. Unfortunately, the general calendar makers, they have not changed. They have not recalculated. And so they're using the old sort of readings from the end of the 19th century. And by now, not every day, but on many days, there's a 1 day difference. That things are 1 day later than they were, 100 odd years ago. So anyway, don't be disappointed. I'm sure you had a nice day with your parent, with your family. I'm sure you ate all sorts of nice sweets. Hare Krishna. What to say? Srila Prabhupada ki. So, okay, devotees. There you have some thoughts on these subjects. And try and learn from this lesson from Mother Yashoda. Really try and learn from that. It's the main thing, actually. To follow her example as a devotee, someone who loves Krishna and is willing to do anything for Krishna, no matter how difficult it is. If it's for Krishna, no price is too great, no effort is too great. If it's for the Lord, we should try and cultivate this mood of selfless service to the Lord. And the more we can do that, without concern for name and fame and what may I get out of it and all these types of material considerations, if we can serve purely, then we will get great mercy. We will make very noticeable progress. Our lives will transform, and we'll be able to help others to transform and become devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Go Premanande.